Thank you everyone for this honor. I've worked in the software industry for a long time, and over the years at Kayak and some other companies, I've gotten awards for different things, but this one feels really special to me. Although I do spend a lot of my time in doing nonprofit work, I think I looked at my calendar this morning, I have 14 hours of nonprofit meetings this week, as an example. I'm on 8 nonprofit boards, I've started 5 nonprofits. My work in mental health over the last couple of years has been the most meaningful thing to me personally, just because the other nonprofits that I created were to help other people who are suffering that I encountered, whether it's homeless people in Boston, or students in Haiti, or just some of the other work that I've done. But for the Bipolar Social Club, it really was a personal story. As mentioned, I was diagnosed at age 25 as being bipolar. I had struggled a lot in my 20s, and I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was actually kind of excited about it. I didn't know what bipolar illness was, but I liked that there was a label, because I thought maybe there's some other people like me. This was way before the web, so I had to go to the library and check out books, and there was no online communities, but I was able to connect with people through history, who had bipolar illness. I struggled for a good 10 or 15 years after that, going on and off different medications, trying to find ones that would work for me. I'm treated by Dr. Mito Faber at Mass General Hospital. He's been my psychiatrist for 20 years now. He told me his job is to keep me out of the paper. And I think he's been successful with that. But as I look at my career in software, I would say so I've sold 5 software companies now. And the one I'm best known for is Kayak. And at Kayak, I don't think I could have created Kayak if I were not bipolar. I think when others would get an email at 3 in the morning, they would say, is this the end of your day or the beginning of your day? They weren't quite sure, because sometimes one, sometimes the other. I had graph paper I kept next to my bed with colored pencils, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night and draw pictures of different things that I would imagine what we should build, and I would send them into the team and would go over it. I didn't learn until many years later there was an informal rule at Kayak that they somehow kept secret from me for 10 years, that when they hired new engineers, they had to train them how to deal with me. And the problem that every day I would come in with 10 new ideas for new products we should build at Kayak. And they basically said, you just have to have some humor about this. Paul's going to come in every day and ask you to do something new. But you don't have to do anything he asks you unless he also asks you the next day. It's so terrible. I've seen it in for 10 years, but I also kind of like that my longtime collaborator, his name is Paul Schwank. He's very opposite skill set for me. He's really good at operations and process, and I'm not good at operations and process, but somehow together we work really well. I started speaking publicly about my bipolar illness about 10 years ago, and it's mostly been a really good thing to me. There have been some bad things about it. One time, Boston Magazine did a story about me about 5 years ago, maybe a little more than 5 years ago. They had a reporter follow me around for a month, and he said he wanted to do a profile, and I was pretty open with him about everything, and it turned out he wanted to write about the bipolar thing, so he wrote about that. And one of my investors, I will not name, a top venture capital firm, when the story came out, they called my head of marketing, and they said, please don't let Paul do any interviews like that again, it doesn't look good. And I remember just thinking, I'm never going to work with that venture capital firm again, because it's ridiculous that if you have to move you have to hide it, and I thought that we shouldn't have to hide it. But because I have been open for about 10 years now, I'll get emails from people around the world who say, I read this article about you, I heard this podcast, my son has bipolar, my daughter has bipolar, can you talk to them? And over the years, I've formed relationships with about half a dozen young people in their 20s who have bipolar illness. And it's been really meaningful to me to be able to share with them a bit about my journey and maybe help them find a peaceful place sooner than it took me. I had one young friend, his name is Jake, and he was a podcaster in New Zealand. I was on his show, and then we became pretty good friends, and we hung out when he moved to the US. And one time I was having lunch with him in Miami a couple years ago, and he told me he was thinking of moving to Kenya. and I have some of a network in Kenya, so I was introducing the people, trying to get them set up there. And we talked about doing a project together, maybe doing a podcast about business in Africa. Anyway, Jake moved to Kenya, and then in a couple weeks he hung himself. This was obviously a big loss, and I used to stay up at night and wonder, like, if I were a better friend, could I have figured it out? And the thing that Jake had confided to me about his diagnosis, he said he didn't tell anyone else. And it just made me think that the worst thing about mental illness is suffering alone. So, as a result of Jake's death, I created the Bipolar Social Club. And now we have about, I think it's about 450 members now. Some are actually here with us tonight. I think those of you who are here for coming. And we have one young man on our group who sent an email to me recently. He's in his late 20s. And he said, I have a therapist, I love her, she's amazing, but she's not bipolar. And so if I'm having a manic episode, I'm out on the bender, and I'm fully manic at 3 in the morning doing crazy things, I can send an email to the Bipolar Social Club and be really honest about what's happened to me. And there's no fear of judgment because you've all been through this. You guys are my family, you're my truth, and I feel open and safe with this community. And that's kind of what we have created. And so what I have learned through our project, and it's a small project, right now just again about 450 people, it's growing daily. We hope someday it's much bigger in these chapters in different cities. But what I've learned is the power of community and healing. And there's a saying that you'll never get better in silence. You can only get better by talking to someone and sharing information about whatever it is you're struggling with. So I have recommended to the young people that I have mentored over the last 10 years that if you do get a diagnosis, whether it's bipolar illness or depression or any sort of mental illness, that you should find 3 people to talk to, someone in your family, one of your friends, and one of your colleagues. And choose carefully, but pick people who love you and tell them your secret. And then you'll have 3 allies in those 3 parts of your life that will stick up for you and will look out for you. And then through there, over time, you'll develop more friends and more connections. And you'll have a community that will help you, maybe, which didn't happen to my friend Jake. So I just really am honored to be here tonight. This is a very special award for me. And I appreciate everyone here for the support and the work, this college. It's really important work, educating to bring more therapists and more teachers in to help other people with mental illness. So thank you very much.